The next question in our video opinion series is this: is there truth that applies to everyone? I guess what I'm trying to expose by asking this question is the philosophy of moral relativism, which is the belief that there is no absolute moral truth that applies to everyone. Only the truths that a particular individual or culture happen to believe. So if you believe there is no standard for moral truth and everything is relative, you must come to the conclusion that stealing, killing, lying, slandering, genocide depends on what you think is okay for you or acceptable in the society you live in. So this spawns the idea that all moral truths are subjective and what we perceive to be true based on individual societal biases, perspectives, interpretations, feelings, imaginings, and or opinions. And there really is no real objective moral standard or truth that applies to all people all the time. Question number 3, is there objective truth that applies to everyone?
Absolutely. There is one truth. That truth is Jesus Christ. He is the truth. He said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me.
I think there's very few absolute truths in life. There might be a few. Anybody that thinks they're absolute, I think, lacks critical thinking skills and don't use their mind as well as they should. Because if somebody just tells you, this is right, this is wrong, you see things black and white, you don't really have to think a whole lot because you already know all the answers, and that's pretty arrogant.
I mean, there has to be absolute truth. If there's not, that it just doesn't make sense. Just because I believe I'm a tree doesn't make me a tree. You could think you're a monkey and somebody else could think, it doesn't matter what people think. The grass is green. There's nothing you can do to change that.
I'm going to say no, because there are a bunch of different religions and they might have their own truth. So I can't really say yes to that one.
There is objective truth that applies to everyone. An example is the value of life. And some people might think it is relative, but it's not.
Question number 3, is there objective truth that applies to everyone?
Yes. Love is the answer. God is the present moment, and the universe is rooting for you if you let it.
Oh, man. Yes, I think there is an absolute truth, yes. It's a good question.
No.
Maybe?
Yes, there is objective truth.
Well, I think that truth comes from God.
I think it's up to you to just own up to your truth.
Yes.
Well, I think cause and effect applies to everybody.
Yes. You have to read about it in the Bible.
No.
Okay.
Is there objective truth that applies to everyone?
I don't think so. Things are always changing and evolving, new ideas, new perspectives, so there's no one universal truth.
That would make things a lot simpler, but I don't think there is. I think everyone comes from different walks of life and everybody has different truths.
I do believe in karma. I believe that is an objective truth.
It's based on karma. If you might have heard of karma, it's pretty simple. It's very intricate, So it's like a seed that's planted in the heart when you do a certain action over time. So you get the reactions not only in this life but later life. It's very intricate. It's hard to understand.
I don't think so, because I feel like everybody's not the same, so there really couldn't be a truth that everybody has to follow or apply to.
I'd say there's only one truth, and that's there's space between atoms.
Yes, there is objective truth in that we have God's Word, the Bible, that tells us how we are to live, how to worship God, and who God is to us.
Yeah. Obviously. I realize that this is a contentious issue, but that's plainly ridiculous. I'm sorry. You are interviewing me for a purpose, and that certainly doesn't change based on what I believe, you know.
Yes, there has to be. Otherwise, people could do whatever they want. If somebody says there's not objective truth, I take them down to their bank and withdraw the money in their account that's mine, you know, because obviously they're going to be objective then because it hurts their pocketbook. Gravity will take you down to the ground whether you believe in it or not. It's absolute. It's the same in moral area and spiritual area.
As a former journalist, I'd have to say no, there's no objective truth. But in reality, of course, there is objective truth. 2 + 2 = 4, no matter where you're at in this universe.
There's truths and laws, just like as much as gravity. But if you don't want to believe it, it's there.
The Lord respects everybody's opinion. You have the right to believe in God or not.
I believe there's morals, just like actual physical aspects of life, that whether you choose to believe it or not, it's still there.
But one day we all want to be in front of Him, and we're going to have to answer for everything that we've done.
I think that would be what truth is. Okay. It's got to be something that applies to everyone, or it's not true.
Besides the obvious truths of the world, the creation, the universe that exists, there are also moral truths that apply to all people, such as murder, lying, stealing, fornication, adultery, etc. These are all wrong. And I believe these truths about the wrongness of these things were instilled in all of us by our Creator. And actually, they're also written in God's Word. These truths are not open to discussion. They are not relative, as some people have suggested or declared. God is a God of love, and He wants the best for each one of us. And that's why He put these parameters in place, these rules for us to follow. It's all for our own good and our best interest. And that is my opinion.
An objective truth that applies to everyone.
The direction in which things can go is always changeable.
Is that everyone, at least in the United States, is far too uptight about sex.
You get a lot of mail for that.
Truth is one of the few things that are absolute. Now, the facts that people use to validate their truths may not be absolute. But I think that the only time you're dealing with truth is when you're dealing with an absolute.
There's nothing higher than it. There's nothing higher than it. Any other value in our value system has to be subordinate to the truth. Without the truth, we have nothing. It's that important.
No, I think perspectives can change, but the actual truths always hold true. And whether we just had it wrong to begin with, the truth was always the truth.
The truth is such a valuable thing. In fact, Winston Churchill, during the Second World War, said this: the most valuable thing in the world is the truth. In fact, it's so valuable, it's covered by a bodyguard of lies. Now, Andrei Sakharov, the scientist that is responsible for giving the USSR, the Soviet Union, the first atomic bomb, said the most powerful weapon in the world, it's not the atomic bomb, but the most powerful weapon in the world is the truth. And as we continue to talk about the truth, in the 18th century, there was a writer and a statesman, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. And he said this: it's easier to perceive and even believe error than to find the truth. Why? Because the former, those errors, lie on the surface like the water here. They're easily seen, while the truth lies deep within, where few people are willing to search for it.
You know, we must remember that moral truth always relates to some particular frame of reference or standard. Whether it's defined by society or science, by culture or individually. But then the other reference point could be outside of all those things. It could be from a God that created all things and even all truth. And then, if He exists for all people. And it's not a question of whether He exists for me and not for you, but rather a question of whether He exists or not, period. So the challenge is, what is the truth? And where does it come from? Remember what has been said. Seek the truth, and the truth will set you free. So, stay tuned.